Call of the Sea. This one was actually one of the more recent titles I've played on the channel. It was released in 2020. And the best way to describe it is an exploring and puzzle solving game. And I have to give them credit. This was beautifully done using Unreal Engine. The game is so picturesque. You want to enjoy every minute of it, even the darker moments that happen. And in this game, we follow Nora, and she's searching for her husband, who went missing looking for a cure for her condition. And when she takes her gloves off, you see these spots or blotches on her hands. And it's been a malady that has affected her family. Now, as I said, it's set on an island, and this island's in the South Pacific. That should be a clue to some of this game's influences. But when you get on the island, you are searching around looking for clues to advance. And one of the key things about this game is that there's puzzles to solve. So you'll come across things that are going in your logbook. You'll come across things that are secrets. There are secrets in the game. And believe it or not, these secrets pay tribute to the Lovecraftian origin, the Lovecraftian influence on this game. And yes, there is a Lovecraftian influence. And every clue you find in the game is linked either to the lore or solving the puzzles. And sometimes you will have to double back to solve some of these puzzles. Well, at least within the area you're confined to in the chapter. And if you pay attention to the clues, these puzzles can be relatively easy to solve. Some of them are a little trickier than others. I know the lens puzzle in Chapter 2 was a little tricky to solve. I was actually very close to figuring it out by the time that one recording ended, and I actually had to look it up, and I'm like, dang, I was actually very close to it. But as you go through the game, you start to see some of the Lovecraftian influence in this game. In fact, in your transition point between Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, you start to, quote, venture out into the water where you will witness a first-time transformation. And you're going to see something that's look very reminiscent of Father Dagon in the Cthulhu mythos. But when you come to this island, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. You come to this island, you find the way deeper into the island, solving puzzles, come to a village where they found one of these things, one of the relics of the island that the natives apparently used. And you discover about this black tar, or this black ooze, that somehow has an effect on humans. And as you're learning what has happened to the team, members of the team have died. Some are in it for their own gain. And once you get past the second chapter and have that nice vision, you come across a shipwreck, which is actually the ship that they came on. Somehow that ship got shipwrecked. And as you make your way through that area and discover everything about it, you slowly learn that Nora isn't the only one who has ever been affected by this, or his family. But in part, you also discover that this island is in part where her family came from. And there is a lot of emphasis on tones in this game. Tonal puzzles. I mean, you actually have to work a gigantic organ to advance through at the end of chapter 3. But as you discover more of the murals and that on the island, things start. It seems that the islanders that lived on the island may have been in servitude at one point and engaged in this ritual to allow them to not only live above the water but live under the water. But eventually they would have to, quote, stay underwater. After your third chapter, you go up in the fourth chapter and you've come across this giant structure with a door with a bit of an organ type setup that you have to open up. Although once you get everything in order so you can open the door, you have a bit of a flashback or some sort of vision where you're walking through a desert to get to your home. Which helps add to the surrealness of this. But once you get in to the door and you enter chapter 5, you start discovering about how the inhabitants went through this process to live underwater. And you must get things done there and solve things there. And the a bit of a trying puzzle that you come across is one where you have to time the buttons so you can activate the some gates to help you move to progress and open things up, which all revolves on timing of when you start tones and which one you start first and then when to hit the others in the process. Of course, you also start getting a feel for as Nora's husband's team dwindles down that someone is after things for their own worth, and you also discover that whatever these people did, it resulted in eternal life. And he figures this all out, and you now have to work everything out to get everything moving and progressing. Once you, of course, solve all the puzzles for the fifth chapter, you are off to Sanctuary in the final chapter. And this is where everything starts to come together. And as we work through the puzzles in the sixth chapter, final chapter, we come across some amazing and very gut-wrenching details. While Nora has been led to believe that her husband has gone about this procedure, just as she reaches the end and gets to that last location, she makes a discovery. He left something behind that he would never part with. Which tells her he's not dead. Basically, he didn't go through with the ordeal. He knew this would help Nora. And so you are now faced, and she knows that he would never, quote, suggest it. And that if he did suggest it to her, she would never do it. This is the truth. This is how much he loves her. He knows that she would only do it if she were to think that he was gone. And she would only make the choice. Oh man, this is hard for me to go through. And that's mainly because this really hit close to home for me. Basically, as you go through certain events and then head to what looks like her home, you are left with a choice. Each results in in the same ending to a degree. Because when she gets to the end, Nora must decide if she will go through with what will save her life, even though it means being away from the man she loves forever. Or she goes back to the man she loves, forgiving him for his deception, realizing that he did it because he loved her and he wanted her to be better, and he knew the cost. And then she would end up spending her remaining days with him before before she passed away. In the end, after all that plays out, we see him lament, in a way, being alone, living his life out as a widower who's lost his soulmate. This is very hard to talk about. And this is why its ending really hit me so hard. Now, I'm not going to lie. I had seen people play parts of this before. I never saw anyone play it full the way through. I never looked at the endings. I mean, I knew of the endings, but I never saw it play out. And I'm going to be honest, it's the hardest part of the game. It's a beautiful game. It makes you feel so good to solve the puzzles. It makes you feel good to get things in order. It makes you feel good to discover the things, to find the secrets. All the secrets pay homage, I believe, to Lovecraft in some way or to his works. Uh, the story is brilliant. All this time you are trying to solve the mystery of what happened to him, and you find out that he set everything here in motion when he figured out what it was so that you would come to get the cure that you need, knowing it was the only way to get you to get the cure that you needed. It's a testament to love. It doesn't make your ending choice any easier, which is why I did both endings. Overall, even that gut punch of an ending, this is an excellent game. If you love puzzles, love figuring things out, definitely get this game. It's beautiful. All the elements add to the surreal beauty of it in the later chapters. Solving the puzzles can be very easy. Some are trickier than others. And you really feel for these characters, even towards the end. And that's all I'm going to say about Call of the Sea. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me talk about this game. Like I said, I do recommend you play this game. You must experience this game. And be prepared for that gut punch towards the end. I don't know how well you can prepare for it, but do your best to prepare for it. It will hit some people harder than it hit others, I'll be honest. And that's all I've got to say about Call of the Sea. Please come check out the rest of the videos up on the channel. Give this one a like, I appreciate it. This is Rich Kale here on YouTube, Rich Gen X elsewhere. Bye.